It's a Mugga Maimer in this week's Dvar Malchus. It's you are one and your name is one. And who is like you? Like your nation, like Yisrael, one nation in the land, which is the Tes Kislev, and the Mittler Rebbe examines this and analyzes this expression from the Maimer of Tes Kislev, which comes out this year, the Shabbos. When we use the word echad, one, it could also be when you have the number one used in a count. For example, and after it says it was an evening, it was morning one day, it says the second day, Yom Shlishi, the third day, so that means that echad can be counted. It doesn't have to be necessarily a case of just one, which is removed from all types of numbers. So therefore the question arises, since the Eibishter is the only one and unique, and there's no one like him, so too Yidden, meaning they are one nation, they are the only Jewish people. They are unique. There's no one like them. Should have said, you are singular, the unique one, the only one, and your name is singular and unique and the only one. And who's like your nation Yisrael, a singular, only nation, instead of the word echad, which echad could mean also that there are others like him. Just saying that Yisrael is Goy Echad doesn't exclude other nations. Just by saying Hashem Echad, Ato Echad, doesn't necessarily, since the word Echad, as we said before, could mean also following that number. There's other numbers that there are other Chas v'Shalom gods and so on. So he says in the second paragraph, the Maimer, the Friedrich Rebbe continues, the fact that Yidden are called a goy yachid, an only nation, that they are unique and distinct. It's similar to a father and mother that only have a single child. Ben yachid, in the terminology, in the common terms that people use, it's called ben yachid. He's a ben yachid. We don't say ben echad. What's the emphasis by calling him a ben yachid? Because the love of parents to their children, or to their child, when they only have a single child, it's a much greater love than the love of parents to their children when they have more children. So to the love of an only child to parents is greater when they are when he's only one of many and he's not a ben yachid. So too it's also by Yidden, that the Yidden's relationship with Hashem is like the relationship of an only child is with their parents. Since Yidden are an only child to the only one of the world, to the singular one of the world, therefore the love of Hashem to the Yidden, and so to the love of Yidden back to Hashem, is a very great love. And he concludes over there, according to this we need to understand, who is like you, like Yisrael, and a one nation, and not a singular nation, an only nation, because that brings this idea, this idea of the love of parents to children, and vice versa, is so much more powerful when you emphasize when it's a yachid. So therefore it should have said yachid rather than echad. So now the Rebbe is going to ask on this question of the Frierdiker Rebbe. He wants to know why the Frierdiker Rebbe has to even bring in the topic of love. All that matters over here is the fact. The fact, are the Yidden, is Hashem the only one or not? The love is seemingly not necessary for the question of why the Torah says, why the pasuk says Goyach. Let's see the top of the next page. We need to understand. The analysis in the Maimer that it should have said Goyachid is simply understood. And similarly, bringing the analogy and the metaphor that we use the term an only child, because he's an only child, therefore we call him a ben yachid. So the Maimer seems to indicate that what's the reason that we have to say go yachid, an only nation? Because the love that the parents have for an only child, and so too the love of an only child that he has to his parents, is a very great love. So that's when you need to understand, what does that add to the question about why Yidden are called a goy echad and not a goy yachid? How does that strengthen or add to the question in such a way that we wouldn't, let's say, appreciate that question without that? Oizbeis. The explanation of this, according to what's explained in many places, al pasuk. Shema Yisrael goymer havaya echad. The Masha calls it havaya echad v'lo havaya yochid, but it says havaya echad, and it doesn't say Havaya Yochid, that which is a question that you have right away in Krishma. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. Could have said Hashem Yochid, he's the only one. So he says, Ki achiluk be Yochid le'echad hu, because the difference in the word Yochid and the word Echad is she'echad moira alis achdus hapratim. The word Echad indicates the joining and uniting of details. For example, it gives now a simple thing. You don't even have to go into the word echad, the aleph and the ches and the dalet, even without that. Elef echad. You say 1,000. So you're using the word one, but it's a one that has in it all the 1,000 details. It's one general thing that includes in it 1,000 details. In a similar vein, you say there's one person, but this one person has many details to him. He's made up of 248 limbs and organs and 365 sinews, veins, etc. The Yachid, as opposed to the word Yachid, it indicates something that's beyond details. For example, the Yechid of the Nefesh is such a high transcendent level of the soul, it's not made up, it's not the combination of individual powers like the other, let's say, parts of the Nefesh. So therefore, based on this is actually also the answer. That's why it says Havaya Echad and not Havaya Yochid in Kriya Shema to show us and to teach us. Even after Hashem created the world that has multiple details, it is completely joined with Hashem. And now he's going to bring in the word Echad is made up of all these different parts, like it's hinted in the 3 letters of the word Echad, that the letter Ches, the number 8, indicates the 7 heavens and the earth, and the 4, the Dalet, that's signified by that is the equivalent of number 4, indicates the 4 sides of the world. So these are all the Ches and the Daled him betelim muchader ma'alef. They are nullified and joined with the Aleph alufish aloilam, the master of the world, and therefore that's why he uses echad as opposed to yachid. So now going back to the topic about the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maimer, top of page Zayin V'zeshem B'daik Maimer. This is what he analyzes in the Maimer the Frierdiker Rebbe. Mashakos, what it says, Ata echad b'shimcha echad v'loi echad ata yachid b'shimcha yachid. The reason why it says Ata echad b'shimcha echad, he wants to know, and it should have said Ata yachid b'shimcha yachid. So we might have answered the same answer like by Krishma. Yesh loy malpi amavur, and over here it's actually different. And he wants to say that over here we're not going to say it like by Krishma. So he says, Yesh loy mar, we could say alpi amavur become makoyim, according to what's explained in many places. When we use the term Havaya Echad, like we do in Krishma, that's talking about the oil, the divine light and energy that's associated with the worlds. But the infinite light of Hashem that's beyond any association and connection with the worlds. And Shayach L'Kroisei Echad, Rak Yochid, it's not possible to call it Echad. Only it's applicable the word Yochid. How come? Because in comparison to this light, this revelation, there is no existence whatsoever, and he is the only one there is. So this Echad versus Yachid would depend on what levels we're talking about. So Shema Yisrael, we could talk about, okay, it's the level of the Ein Sof that has some type of association with the worlds, and therefore the oneness that includes details applies. But, as he's about to explain, the Ata Echad that's by Mincha and Shabbos seems to be totally beyond the world. He says in line 8, since this tefillah of Ata Echad is a tefillah that we say on Mincha and Shabbos, the noise flows that Shabbos. In addition to the fact that in general Shabbos is a revelation of the Ein Sof that's beyond any association with the world. That's why we're not allowed to do any malacha. We cannot work because we're completely beyond the world type of existence. But in Shabbos Gufa, in Shabbos itself, what time is the most loftiest time? Iker Gilu Yisrael Mincha Shabbos. This main revelation is the Mincha of Shabbos, Raiva the Raivin, the time when it's called the Ratzon of all the Ritzonos, the will of all the wills, the innermost level of Keser and the source of Keser. The Shabbos. Like it's known concerning the 3 meals of Shabbos, that it's hinted in the fact that it says that about the man, it uses the 3 times it uses the word Hayoim. That you will not have you should eat today. Ichlu hayom ki Shabbos hayom laHashem hayom tzubasada, that the man that you collected on Friday, a double portion, you will eat on Shabbos. But it says 3 times hayom, so the 3 times hayom hints at the 3 meals of Shabbos. And Chassidus takes that the zesh besudus shel shlishis ksiv hayom loy. In the 3rd Hayyim, which hints at the 3rd meal, it says Hayyim loisim tze'u basada. Today you will not find it in the field. How come is the word loy part of the equation over here? What does the word loy indicate? Because then it's the drawing down of the essential delight, meaning a delight that cannot even be sensed by ordinary senses that we have. It's a delight that's beyond eating and drinking. In general, this tainuga atzmi abulti morgish is the essential light that's not even at all in the paradigm of world. Gam loy boy from the soiviv. It's even beyond being called transcending the worlds. That's encompassing the worlds because beyond any comparison to the worlds. Therefore, that's what the Frierdiker Rebbe's question is. Therefore, the Maimer analyzes and this tefillah, being that it's on Shabbos, especially on Mincha the Shabbos, that's so lofty, the most highest level. He should have said, Ate Yachid b'Shimcha Yachid, you are the only one, and your name is the only one, instead of using the word Echad, which would indicate more of a connection with the worlds, and Mincha and Shabbos is way beyond the worlds. Page Ches, Ois Gimel. V'hinei, al derech zeh b'Yisrael. In a similar vein, just like we said by Hashem, there's the way Hashem relates to the worlds, and that level is applicable, the term Echad, but then there's the way the level, the Eibishter is completely beyond the worlds. That we would use the word Yachid. Similar to that, there's these two things by Yid. They have similar to these two aspects. Because the root of the Neshamas, the way they are rooted in Hashem's very essence, there is no allowance, there is no room for any other existence. Ki'im, rather, like the Zohar says, Yisrael Malchus b'chudoi, that the Yidden and the king are alone. That's all there is. There's nothing else beside them. V'yesh loymar, the Rebbe adds another point to this, when we're dealing with such a high level, the way the Yidden are mushrish in Hashem's essence, the way it's Yisrael and Malchus b'chudoi, ein shayach loymar gam shi Yisrael kadma la'olam. The term that Chazal use, that Yidden preceded the world, it's not even applicable to use that term, because it's not even, it's like we said in the level of Mincha of Shabbos, it's beyond even being called Soiviv. Soiviv already shows that there's a relationship with the world. Saying Yisrael kadmu la'olam, the Yidden preceded the world, that already indicates a certain relationship with the world, albeit a negative relationship, that they're beyond the world. But the world still exists in their universe. But the ultimate level, the way Yidden are rooted in Hashem's very essence, you can't even use that term. The entire concept of world is non-existent. Avol, after the Neshamas descended down here below, for the purpose to refine and purify the world, in this level, in regards to this level of Eden, the way they descend into the world, the world does exist. But alongside with the existence of the world, but the Eden are higher in the world. And the creation of the world is for the sake of the Eden. According to this, we could say, when a Yidden called Goy Echad, and we don't use the word Yachid, meaning singular and exclusive and so on, and the only one, that's a result. That's when the Yidden descend down here below. And we have actually support from the phrase, Ukeloshen Goy Echad Ba'aretz. In the Aretz, they are a Goy Echad. The term Echad applies. The Mekim, since the descent of the Neshama down here below is to refine the world, beginning from the speaking element of the world, meaning beginning when we have to refine those that are human beings, so they have to relate to humanity. So the Goy Echad is in comparison to the rest of humanity. In comparison to this level of Yidden, the way they are in the land, in the world, there is the existence of the nations of the world. Until through the fact that Yidden affect a refinement in the nations. Nasa b'hem ilui, becomes in them an ascent and an elevation. So that's how much the others in the Sug HaMedaber, other parts of humanity, even matter and impact Yidden. They can't be called Yachid, because when the Yidden are refining the other parts of humanity, that's impacting them, and they become elevated. So l'chein amar goy echad, therefore it uses the term goy echad, not Yachid, echad hamonui, a counted echad, shemoinim games umas ha'olam, that we count also the nations of the world. How come? Why are they counted? Mekivin shal yodam davkin nasi ilu Yisrael, because only through them specifically this ascent and elevation occurs by the Yidden. Elam, but the difference is, with that, they're still echad and separate. Al Yisrael him goy echad she'enim esarvim shara amit. The Yidden are a echad nation that doesn't mix with all the other nations. Similar to the word echad, yom echad, used in the creation. It doesn't say yom rishon, the first day, but yom echad, day one. Why? Valderech yom echad, similar to yom echad that it says in creation. She yom harishon the sheis mei bereishis nimnim shar yomim. On the one hand, the first day of the 6 days of creation is counted with the rest of the days. Echad hamonui, it's a counted one, like we mentioned, but at the same time, avul hu naila mehem, he's distinct and higher, like the different meanings that Haya Echad by Lama Hashem was the only one in this world. Whatever reason it was, but the first day was totally unique from all the rest of the days. The same thing, Yidden are called Goy Echad Ba'aretz. They have a relationship with all the other nations, but they are higher. So the Rebbe continues, top of page 10, that's what we would have thought. And to avoid that interpretation of the pasuk Goy Echad, so the Frierdiker Rebbe asks the question by introducing the topic of love, which was the original question that the Rebbe asked in the Maimer. Why is it important to introduce the issue of love? To negate this explanation, that the reason why Yidden are called Goy Echad is because of their relationship. Though they are higher, they still have a relationship and a connection with the rest of humanity, and the rest of the world is maybe by Maimer HaMashal, but Ben Yochid. So the Maimer brings the metaphor of an only child. Shein Yonish Ben Yochid, the idea of an only child is Loy Rak Zesh B'Poyel Ben Echad Bolvat. It's not just that in actuality, if you count, he's only one. Elagam u'be'ikr, but also and primarily that the love of an only child to his parents and to his father, and the love of a father to the only child is a unique, distinct type of love. That's not similar to the love of a parent and a child, a father and a child, when there's more than one child. Okay, so just like by a human parents and an only child, so too Yisrael him ben Yochid, so too it's in the fact that Yidden are considered an only child to the only one of the world, to the singular one of the world. She'avas HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael, v'avas Yisrael HaKadosh Baruch Hu, both the love of Hashem to the Yidden and the love of the Yidden to Hashem, he avim yuchad she'ein dugmasa b'chol ha'am. It's a unique love that there's nothing like it in all the nations. V'kivin shagam ba'aretz avas HaKadosh Baruch Hu li Yisrael, v'shel Yisrael HaKadosh Baruch Hu yavim yuchad, since also in this earth the love of Hashem to the Yidden and the Yidden to Hashem is a unique love. Therefore, even after all of the explanations, you still can't count the Yidden together with the rest of the nations. So therefore, the word Echad would not be appropriate. It should have said that they're a singular and only nation instead of using the word Echad. So with this, the Rebbe answers his original question about why was it necessary for the Frierdiker Rebbe to bring in his question in the Maimer about the love, in addition to just the fact that we are the only ones, because In the love regard, there an only child is completely different.